let me introduce myself. My name is Ronald Lau, and I'm the UG Program Coordinator for OM. Today, I will give you a brief introduction to our program. And we also invite Erica Henrik, who is an OM student currently, and she will share her experience in our program. So before we start, let me see if anyone have any questions. All right, if not, so again, welcome. And I expect maybe more will come in as we speak. I can see more and more join in now. So for those of you just joined, I just mentioned, my name is Ronald Lau, and I'm going to give you a little bit outline or some kind of a rundown of our program, so you have some idea, what is it about. And we also have Erica Henrik. She is our current BBA OM student, and she can share her experience in our program. All right. So I guess one of the reasons we have such a small group, because not many people know about operation management. They only know to get to business school, right? Luckily, you don't need to choose a major until the end of year one, or can be even year two, all right? And so what is OM? So this is a very tough question, because it turns out a lot of people really have no idea what OM about. But if I have to get to the level you understand what's OM, just imagine how you're supposed to run a successful business. We are not talking about some book knowledge here. We are not talking about just concepts. We are talking about running a real business. So if you want to have a successful business, especially if you are the kind of entrepreneur, you need to first have a good business idea, right? You have to have some kind of product and service your customer want and need. Next, you need to know who are your customers and how to get to them. You also need to decide on the pricing and distribution channel and all of this. But in the end, what determines your business success is how you run your business. That means we can talk about planning, control, right? Monitoring, improvement, and all of this. So that's basically what we want to learn in the OM program. So even though right now, maybe we have a small group, I can see only about 20 people in this room right now. But do you know, every year business school will admit about close to 900 students, okay? And when I joined the BBA OM, the OM group 20 years ago, we have only 40 in our program. But in the coming year, how many we have? We have a quota of 150. Okay, so we have 75 for the first major and 75 for the additional major. So altogether, we'll admit 150 students. So you can imagine our program is quite popular. So it doesn't matter, not many people really know about OM, when they enter to business school. But once they take other business courses and they also take our OM, the required course, and certainly a lot of people will show interest because they realize, OM is very practical and relevant to run a business, a real business. Okay. Now, some of you probably begin to hear a lot of things about global supply chain, and also because of the trade wars, how the supply chain and all the operation has been disrupted. This is something we will try to teach our students, how to build a resilient supply chain and how to run an efficient operations, right? Now, the other way to look at operation management is we will try to have the most outcome using the minimum amount of input. So some of you probably learned in economic course, right? We have input, we have output, or we call it outcome in this case. But in between, a lot of things will happen, will take place. This is what we call the transformation process. This is what the operation management about. We need to manage all the inputs in order to create the outputs. So in this case, could be goods, could be service, but in the end, we want to satisfy our customers. Okay. Now, there's another way to look at what is operations. So for the entire company, most of the resources, some people actually think about 80% or more. That means the majority of a company resources are spent on operations. So if you look at for manufacturing, it's very easy to see how it works, right? So we need to have a design of the product, and we need to buy a lot of materials from our suppliers, right? So this is what we call the value chain. So at every steps, operations will be involved. Now, of course, most people think will be in the value-added transformation. But if you look at it from the strategic perspective, operation need to get involved even from the very beginning. Okay, when you design a product, you already need to start thinking about operations. Now, before I really get into the teaching career, I actually worked in a bank, for many years. So you can imagine, even for any service company like a bank, they spend most of their resources on operations. Whenever you step your foot into, let's say, a branch, right? You need to do some transfer of money, for example, or you want to exchange foreign currency, or whatever else, bank service you need. This is already operations. So it doesn't matter, what kind of industry. It's not just for manufacturing. In Hong Kong, when we look at, the 4 major industries, they are financial, logistics, hospitality, and professional service. You can imagine you will find operations everywhere, right? Now, of course, in Hong Kong, if we look at logistics, it can be a very complicated system. Just to give you an example, because we want to make sure we have the right product at the right place at the right time with the right quantity. But imagine, in order to do that, there's a lot of people that will share information, has to work together to make that happen, right? So I hope by now you have some idea about what is OM. Now, the other really important question I think everyone will have in mind is, why is, we talk about 900 business students every year, but 150 or so will choose OM as the major. Is it what kind of jobs are they looking for, right? I guess this is a major driver. You don't just want to learn something, but you want to apply, okay, then to build your career. Now, of course, if you are an entrepreneur, you have to understand operation very well. But even if you're working for other companies as an employee, that depends on your position, right? You will have different job responsibility. Now, of course, when you first start out, we don't expect you to be, at the top level, right? Now, for operations, the highest job level you can get to will be the executive level. So most people will call COO, the Chief Operating Officer, as the second most powerful person in the company. Okay, COO. Because COO basically in charge of, how to allocate the resources, how to get work done, and so on. So it's a very important position to help the CEO. Now, you think about one of the most successful companies nowadays people can think of is Apple, right? So everyone only know about Steve Jobs. He is so famous. So before he passed away, he actually, gave the CEO title and responsibility to the COO of Apple. Okay. And obviously, you know, he is doing well as well. So COO is very important for any company. Now, we also can look at the OM job along the value chain. I mentioned earlier, could be in design, could be in sourcing, right? You could be a merchandiser. In Hong Kong, we have a lot of department stores. You think about who is the most important person for the department store. It's not just the sell people, right? Because if you don't have the products, you know, appealing to the customer, no one will buy it. So the merchandiser, the buyer for the company, even more important. They have to buy the right kind of products, make sure, you know, they can sell well, and so on, right? You also can talk about production, distribution, services, and so on. So OM jobs is everywhere in the value chain. We also mentioned about industry. In Hong Kong, mainly they are service-oriented, right? Logistics, retail, banks, service, okay, government, okay. All of these require people to have some understanding of how things work. That's about operations. If you think about the career path I mentioned earlier, usually you start out maybe as a supervisor once you finish receiving a degree from here, and you continue to go up, right? Hopefully. So from supervisory position to a middle management, and then high level management, and then eventually an executive position like COO, and could be CEO. So what I can say is there's lots of well-paying and rewarding OM jobs out there. When I say it's rewarding, because this is really a very fulfilling job. Because we're living in a very challenging world, okay? You think about so much disruption in all this, in the industry. Really, people really can see the big picture and will be able to come out with, the plan, to navigate all this uncertainty. Nothing's, you'll learn in the textbook will be able to apply in the world. But at least you'll be much prepared, all right? And so as you learn, as you get more experience in the industry, and what you'll find is OM is a very exciting field. Not to mention, we have been applying a lot of technology in our business, right? So we can talk about information systems, we can talk about all kinds of equipment, even advanced analytics. There's a lot of technology out there, automation, and so on. So this is a very exciting field. We will welcome all of these people, you are willing to learn new things, and you can make a big difference. So question to you is, are you up for the challenges? This is not an easy field, okay? But it's very rewarding. You can find a lot of satisfaction because you can really tell you are doing something well, okay? You make a big contribution to the company success. So let me tell you a little bit about our BBA OM curriculum. We make it very flexible for the students. Okay, so what you need is 6 courses, and you'll be able to get the BBA OM, okay, as your major. 2 of them will be the required courses. One will teach you how to use Excel, okay, so you know how to build models, and you will be able to optimize the result. Okay, this is a very important skill. A lot of students, after they graduate, they will come back and tell us, they say, wow, I'm so glad, I learned how to, solve problems with Excel. So our program, will try to train all the experts in using Excel. The other one is global supply chain management. And we take a high level view, how to manage, all these pieces in the supply chain. And then you have 4 elective courses to take. Now, there's many types of courses we offer. Some of them are focused on concepts, or we call it managerial focus, okay? So these are typical classes. maybe give you some lectures, give you some kind of discussion and so on. But we also emphasize on business practice. Remember, I mentioned about our field is very practical. So in this case, we have some courses completely devoted to case teaching. Okay, so we have a course, called the OM best practice. So in that case, you just study different companies, how they do different things. By the way, if I remember right, that course has no exam because every student need to analyze the case. We also have a lot of courses who require to do project. In fact, we have one entire course devoted to this so-called OM project. So we have a team of students, usually 3 to 5. They will act as a consultants under the supervision of the faculty, and we will take them to a real company and solve their real problems. Okay, so they already have the experience, how to be a consultant. We also have some courses emphasize on quantitative models. Some of them will use statistics, and even statistics, we use a lot of software. Okay, nowadays you don't solve problems by hand anymore. All right. So this is a basic requirement to have a major in BBA OM, right? 2 required courses plus 4 elective courses. So we have many choices, as I say. Now, for those of you, want to have an option. When we say option, means this is not required. Only if you want to do that, right? But if you want to have a focus or specialization, whatever you call, within the BBA OM, we offer 2 options. One is business analytics. So in that case, you're going to take more statistics courses or some quantitative OM courses. We have another one called supply chain management. So that one is just give you a big pictures of all the supply chain operations. Okay, but so you do have a choice, to take these kind of options. So how you get into the BBA OM as your major? There's 2 ways to do it. We recommend you actually to take the 5300. That is, you apply for business school, okay, in general. And then after you finish, all the required business core courses, and you make up your mind. And I hope by then you realize how important is OM and you will choose us. All right. Now, for some of you, maybe you learn from your friends or your parents, and you say, I know I'm going to take OM. Well, you are welcome as well. So on JUPAS program code, you just put down 5317. That will be for OM. But we have only a very small quota for that, all right? Because we expect to take in the majority of our students after they enter to business school. But if you want to choose OM first, that's fine. Every year we do have, about handful, okay? Even though if you don't get in, that's okay, because in the end, remember, we have 150 as our quota. So is it, is BBA OM right for you? Only you can tell, all right? I'm not here to try to sell you something you don't like, but I'm telling you, this is something our students also enjoy, and I have been teaching this field, and I can tell you it's very enjoyable, all right? Very challenging, but rewarding. So you need to ask yourself, are you the kind of people you will eventually will develop a career in OM? Because in OM, the career will require a lot of critical thinking. Some people call thinking out of the box, right? We need to think about solution. That's why, I like OM so much, because I feel like I can make a lot of decisions. That's why I feel like I'm in charge, okay? I can make a difference. So in our program, we teach you a lot of decision-making skills, including critical thinking. And of course, a lot of complex problems, we have to use analytical tool to help us to solve the problem. Sometimes we can use our gut feeling to come up with a solution, right? But it's much better if we can somehow build a mathematical models and we can find what is the best solution. We also emphasize on communication because this is business school. We don't want to train someone only a technical skill, but we want to make sure they can communicate. They can be a bridge between management and the technical people. Okay, so this is what we position our graduate in different job opportunities. Finally, you need to like very much technology. It's changing very fast, right? I mentioned about automation. Can you imagine nowadays, you go to YouTube, you see, for example, JD, okay? JD.com is a very famous e-commerce company in China. Take a look on their warehouse, how they manage that, okay? Alibaba, all right? Every year in November, they have a Singles Day. How could they manage, 37 billion US dollar sales in a single day? You have to think about technology, right? So without technology, no way we can scale the operation to that level and can be so efficient. So if you want to develop a career in OM, you need to, develop these kind of skills. But I hope you will enjoy this kind of skills in the first place, and we can help you do that, all right? Now, of course, we try to make our curriculum very practical. So that's why we use the company projects, case studies, internship, and all of this will help you to understand what business is up against, what can they do to make a difference, and so on. Now, of course, you may have many other reasons. So you will choose OM, all right? So I do hope, to see some of you one day. Make sure you can come back and let me know, right? Say, hey, I listened to your talk. Now here I am, okay? In our program, we have a guiding principle. We value very much of our students and our alumni. We tell them we devote a lot of our energy, a lot of our resources for one thing. We want to make sure they can be successful, okay? We will tell them, really deep from our heart, your success is our success. And that's why we are here, okay? Now, if you want to learn more about our programs, it's very easy. You can go to our department website. You can see right here, okay? Go to www.bm.ust.hk ISOM. Our department has two major groups, IS and OM, okay? If you have other questions, you are welcome to send us an email, which is very easy, bbaom@ust.hk. Now, for our BBA programs, we also have other resources, okay? I'm pretty sure you may want to explore as well. All right, so I hope my short presentation already gave you some idea what's BBOM about. And I hope, you will seriously think about that, okay? Now, right now, I will say, why don't we save the time later on for Q&A. Right now, I would like to invite Erica Henry. She is our current BBOM student, and she will tell you her experience in our program. So a lot of times, don't take my word for it, okay? Listen to Erica. She will tell you more. Okay, Erica, please go ahead.
Thank you, Professor. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Erica. I'm from Indonesia, and I'm a fourth-year student now, majoring in accounting and operations management. And today, I will be sharing about why I chose OM as one of my majors. So why did I choose operations management? So first of all, I entered USD through the school-based admission process, and I didn't know what major to pursue for my career. However, fortunately, USD allows me to take all of the foundational courses, which shows me the glimpse of what each major looks like. And during my second year in my first semester, I had to take OM foundational course, which is the ISOM 2700. Actually, I didn't know what it is about, and I don't know what to expect. But I remember having to learn more about how people line in queues, and then like all of like the business process bottlenecks, and also like the business capacity. And it's really interesting for me because then I realized how important OM is to a business, how crucial it is. And it just feel like it's everywhere in the business aspect. So I decided to choose my second major in operations management. And so far, I've been pretty much enjoying all of the courses offered by the OM department. And I really look forward to be able to apply all of this knowledge and skills to put to work later during my career. So I want to talk about, actually, I have two most memorable courses that I've taken in UST. Actually, both of them are taught by our Professor Professor Ronald Lau. So the first one is ISOM 4740, or Enterprise Resource Management, where we learn about how to improve efficiency by engineering the process, business process and everything. And also we learn about this software called SAP, which is not a very common software to be taught in school. So it was very interesting because it's actually a software where businesses can have a shared centralized database, and it's very fun to learn, and it's actually a skill that's not commonly taught, but it's very valued by a lot of businesses. And I think being able to learn it in university is very, very cool. And also the second course is actually ISOM 4840. It's integrated planning and execution. And this is one of the most unique course I've ever taken in UST, because I remember during the first 3 or 4 weeks of school, like we learn all of those concepts, all of those theory, but then for the rest of the semester, we have a simulation game. So we learned OM through the simulation game. So it's literally learning the concepts by actually doing it. And it was really fun to be able to work with my teammates and pretending that we're managing this company. And it really feels like we're actually managing a business and trying to outcompete our classmates and other companies. And it was really fun to be able to do that, because it really gives a glimpse of what it's like operating a real company. So here are some pictures of the software. I still saved some of the pictures. This is for SAP. And also this one is actually from the simulation game. And I highlighted that like my team won first place once during the simulation game, which was really, really fun. And for job opportunity, because I'm double majoring in accounting and operations management, I really feel that both of my major really complements each other, because I have an experience in working in an auditing firm. And I really feel like I get to be able to put all of my OM knowledge into my internship experience. Because I was in auditing, we have to give an auditor's opinion. It's where an auditor gives opinion about how the company is doing, or maybe give a recommendation on how a company can improve their efficiency. And that's when I can apply all of my OM knowledge and OM concepts to be able to give a good recommendation to the business, and maybe how to improve their profitability and also efficiency. So I'm really glad that I took OM, because it's very important in all of business like business prospects. So yes, that's all from me. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please just let us know in the chat box. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Erica. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, for the remaining time, we have about 20 minutes or so. So if any one of you have questions, please go ahead and unmute yourself. If we have too many of you ask questions at the same time, then we may need to ask you to raise your hand. So hopefully you can see there's a raise hand tool somewhere, but if not, just go and unmute yourself. First come, first serve. Any questions? Okay, you don't need to raise hand or do anything, just unmute yourself. You will be able to ask questions. If you are too shy to even speak up, what you can do is you can use we have a chat box there. You can type your questions. We also can get to it as well. Okay. But for those of you who are ready to ask questions, please unmute yourself. If you don't want to ask in English, you can ask in Cantonese because I can understand Cantonese, but I can answer in English only. All right. Okay, I see the first question pop up now on the chat. Say, can you please talk about the quantitative aspect of this program? Okay. Yes, some students are pretty afraid of math, but let me tell you, if you can only do the things everyone can do, you don't add that much of value. Okay. Analytics is a very important field nowadays. Now, why is so important? Because we have a lot of data. No one knows what to do with the data. But it doesn't mean you need to, use calculus and all this, to solve the problem. No, this kind of problem cannot be solved, from all the math courses you have taken. But you need to learn how to use software to do it. Now, of course, we have to show you some kind of concept. The concept may involve, some mathematics, but for sure it's manageable. Most of the effort will be on learning the software and, be able to get the insight. Okay. Now let me just give you examples. I mean, I hate to brag about my children. Okay. But let me tell you, I have 4 children. Okay. And 3 of them already graduate at HKUST Business School. The 4th one is also here, starting as a freshman. But let me tell you, my second son, he just got a job this year. He's working in US now. He's working for a company in California. They pay him very well, all because he has, of course, he's more than an OM. He also got an MSc degree in business analytics. He got a job, they pay him over $100,000 a year. It's a very good paying job. Okay, he's very happy, and of course, I'm also happy when my kids start making money, I will be very happy. But yes, some courses may have some quantitative materials, but we don't expect you to solve it by hand. If you have to do it, it has to be a very, very simple problem. Okay. Nowadays, real life problem cannot be solved by hand. You have to use software to do it. So that's why we spend a lot of time to teach our students how to use Excel and use other software package, including the statistics package, in order to solve problems. Okay, so I hope that will answer the question. Anyone else? Okay, I have another question here. Say, since I mentioned about communication, okay, does it mean you have to be very, outgoing, that type? That may not be, okay? But let me tell you, in business, even though you try not to be outgoing, you need to a little bit social. We have to deal with people. There's nothing much we can do about. Even though in our program, the operation management, we emphasize on process, we also emphasize on technology. But don't forget, people is also a very important dimension as well, okay? Now, can you not to interact with other people? I would say not that easy because we talk about business, right? You have to deal with people, but at least you are not like the marketing or sales people, right? You have to interact with the customer directly. A lot of time, operation people will work in the background, okay? But I'm telling you, there's no excuse not to develop good communication skill. We are talking about, let's say, do presentation, okay? That's a communication skill, interpersonal skill, written skill. That's why, in some courses, we require students to write reports, write case analysis, and so on, because you have to be able to communicate your ideas, all right? Okay, so I hope that will answer the questions. If not, write another chat and so on. Okay, here's another one. I would like to know about one. Will there be any interview during the period after the DSE exam for entering this program? The short answer is no, we don't do interview, okay? In business school, there's only a few programs who will require interview. Most programs don't. We don't, okay? In fact, when you get your DSE result, that's a little bit too late, right? Actually, add a lot of pressure on our admission team. So in that case, it's hard to arrange interview. But you talk about, yes.
Can I add something? Actually, we have a school-wide interview after the DSE exam, but before the release of the DSE exam. So selected applicants will be invited to the school-wide interview, but the interview is not compulsory for OM program. If the applicants perform well in the interview, then they will earn a bonus for JUPAS admissions, but interview is not compulsory.
Okay, thank you for correcting me. So we need an expert from admission team, okay? So I myself, as far as I know, I don't do any interview, okay? But a business school does. So if you want to have some bonus point, yes, they might give you an interview. Okay, second question. Will reading the recent news on large companies like Alibaba and doing, of course, it's helpful, beneficial, all right? It's not just for OM, because OM relate to other fields as well, right? Doesn't matter, you talk about accounting, finance, marketing, we are all related to each other. Even you look at the business news, they usually not just focus on one aspect. Give you an example. Even though we talk a lot about global supply chain, is it just global supply chain problem? Yes, but it also relate to maybe finance, maybe marketing, and so on, okay? So it's good to know more about what's going on in business world. It doesn't matter you're a major or not, but if you are OM major, for sure, we want you to read a lot, okay? You are accounting major now, Erica, correct me if I'm wrong, okay? For accounting major, you may not need to so keep up with what's going on, probably, right? In comparison to OM. Because for accounting, usually you look at mostly all these company numbers, right?
Yeah, most of them, yeah.
Right. But for OM, we make a lot of decisions. So for you to make decisions, that means you need to know more than just OM, right? You need to know other areas as well. Okay. All right. Question number 3: if I have participated in startup pitching competition before, will this experience help my career path on OM? Okay. Remember I mentioned earlier, there are 3 areas very important for a startup. One, you need to have a good business idea to start. That's why when you do all this pitching, right? So get people to interest or invest in your business idea. The second one is you need to know your market. If not, you won't be able to generate any revenue. But you know, over 90% of the new business startups usually fail in 5 years. Why there's such a large number of new startups will fail in the first 5 years? They have a good idea. They know their market, but the problem is execution. Okay? But when you talk about try to do a good execution, we are talking about planning, control, and all of this. So Erica earlier mentioned about it's a course, use simulation. Now, that will for sure give you a big picture view of the entire supply chain. Because how you make sure you have the right product at the right place at the right time with the right quantity. So in a sense, of course, you can put in your real money, but what happens if you lose them all? It's much better play a simulation game. So the most you lose is just a game, right, Erica? You agree? So that's why we have courses like this, to prepare our students. So definitely, okay, if you are interested in startup business, OM is something you need to learn more. Okay, so we very much welcome you. Okay, let me see. Do you recommend OM students to take extended major? You talk about additional major, probably. Yes, of course. Now, let me give you an example. Erica mentioned about she's double major in accounting and operation management. I was an accountant before, actually. That was 40 years ago. Okay, I can see there's a lot of areas I need to apply OM, the operations, in order to do my job as an accountant. Okay, marketing for sure. Think about the supply chain. Supply chain is all about the cooperation between marketing and operations. How about IS? Yes, that's why we have belong to the same department, ISOM, because operations require a lot of analytics. We also need to have a lot of need to understand how the IS system works. Erica also mentioned about earlier, she learned something called ERP, all right? Enterprise Resource Planning System. And we use the most popular one, the largest one called SAP. Some of you may want to check it out, okay? If you know how to use SAP, and it will make your job application a lot easier because a lot of companies are using SAP. They are the largest business software company in the world. So if you say, I have some training in SAP, it gives you a pretty good chance of getting a good job. All right. So
I would like to add something.
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, most of our students take an additional major, but I think this Athena is referring to our new introduced extended major, which I may be able to share with you.
Oh, yes. So that
Yes.
means that extended major means not within business school or what?
This extended major is actually newly introduced. Students with these first major who have declared the first major at the end of the third semester can apply for the extended major, which is major plus X. We have two major plus X, which is artificial intelligence and digital media and creative arts. So actually, in my opinion, if you're taking OM, I think taking artificial intelligence is really could complement your study in operations management. So if you are interested in applying to the major plus X, then you can always go to our program booth and then click download. Let me change it to English. You can download our new leaflet from our program booth, click brochures, and then business program updates. Then you can have more information on the new introduced extended major and also our new program.
Okay, thank you so much, Natalie. This is so new. I don't even have any student have this so-called extended major. Are we going to introduce this next year or this year? I don't even know. No one knows. It's so new. Okay, but anyway, yes.
For the 2022 in-tech students, they should be able to declare
Okay.
the extended
Okay.
major
Good.
in their third semester after declaring their
Wow.
first major.
So that means the earliest time will be 2023. Okay, so you can declare something like this. So get admitted to business school first, and then find out your real interest. You still have time to think about this. Okay, great. All right. What is the difference between operation management and management? Good question. Our name is much longer, right? But we have a better focus because remember I mentioned earlier, in order to run a business system, there's three major components: people, process, and technology. For our program, we talk about the process for sure. We also apply the technology. That's why Natalie earlier say, well, if you want the OM, there's another extended major in artificial intelligence. That will help us to make better decision, quicker decision, and more consistent decision. All right. So the AI can automate a lot of decision-making process as well. So in that case, we focus more on the process and technology. How about management? Management is more focused on people. All right, the organization. Now, everyone will have different contribution, to develop the student skill. But the way I look at it, usually students at your age usually don't appreciate that much about people yet until you get more life experience, I guess, right? So when you get more mature, you understand more about, let's say, interpersonal relationship and so on. But every field is important, all right? Depends on your interest. If you want to focus more on people management, well, you can choose management. Because for us, we are more focused on the transformation process and technology dimension, okay? All right, so here's another question. Okay, I read it exactly what is written. SOM is perhaps more obscure in comparison to more popular programs. Okay, I don't know how you get the idea, more popular programs in like finance and marketing. Yes, they are more popular because students exposed to finance and marketing early on. Operations is everywhere. But a lot of time when we try to ask people, do you know what's operations? That's why in my first few slides, I have to explain operation is everywhere. Operation is about running your business, okay? Finance will not run your business. Finance can help you run your money, okay? Marketing is one of the core functions. I mentioned three, right? Your design, business design, and then marketing and operations. But in terms of employment, marketing only need to hire a smaller group of people or employees, okay? Sales, even sales is considered operations. So you need people, to make the schedule, to ensure quality and so on. These are all operations. Majority of the company resources are spent on operations. So I would not say it's obscure because not many people learn that before they come to university. But remember what I just mentioned? Every year, business school admit close to 900 students. Our quota for the coming year is 75 plus 75. And our quotas, last year is a little bit below our expectation, but in the previous 4 or 5 years, every time max out. That means we have to turn away some students, okay? And I also mentioned to you, when I joined HKUST 20 years ago, our program only had 40 students, okay? Now, 150. Okay, I think the number speaks for itself. A lot of students don't know about OM until they get to business school, until they learn other courses, and they say, okay, I know there's something about operation in that. And then when they take our business core courses, the operation management, and suddenly their eyes will be open. They say, oh, now I see. Okay, this is something I need to learn. So we don't need to worry about so much, we can't fill our program. So think about 150 out of about 900. we are pretty popular, right? 1 out of 6. 1 out of 6 students in business school actually will be majoring in OM. So we are not that obscure, actually. Okay, with the focus in technology and software, will having a background in computer science coding be beneficial? That depends, actually. Okay, we are not asking you to be a programmer. For operations, I will say decision-making skill is even more important, right? Because when you make a decisions, sometimes you have to use analytics. Sometimes you have to use your common sense, okay? There's a lot of ways to make decisions. But operation management involve a lot of decision-making, rather programming, okay? Even if we try to train our students, we don't train them to write code, but to learn how to use the software, the applications. So if you have a background in computer science, I think it never hurt, okay? Will that really help you a lot? That depends, right? But then for sure, you will appreciate more about, let's say, a lot of process automation nowadays, right? Artificial intelligence. If you want to have an extended major in AI, I'm pretty sure any background in computer science will be very helpful, okay? All right, and I guess I clear all the questions. Okay, did I miss anything? All right, so I hope I already answered all the questions. All right, so I guess if there's no other questions, I have to let you go on time so you can maybe join the next session. I know some of you come in here late, because you may get held up earlier, but that's okay. That's why we run operations. We want to make sure we run on schedule, right? Everything is in order. Okay, thank you so much for everyone for your time. I know everyone is busy. Everyone have many choices to make. And I hope you will keep OM in mind when you consider a major. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.